One morning, Gordon, the big blue express engine, waited at the harbor for a fast goods train to be shunted behind him. Just then, Thomas the tank engine came by. "This is an unusual sight," Thomas giggled as the cars were coupled to Gordon. "I'd rather be pulling the express." "I can't abide these dirty coal cars," huffed Gordon. "It's not so bad," Thomas chuckled. "A little coal dust never hurt an engine before." "No, but it does make an engine look silly, much like you did covered in it at the coal tower the other day," huffed Gordon. Thomas was very cross. He did not like to be reminded of the time that Percy had pulled his empty cars beyond the coal mine, causing the coal to billow out all over Thomas instead. "That wasn't my fault," Thomas said. But your reaction disproves your point. Coal does hurt an engine. An engine's pride, that is," hissed Gordon. Before Thomas could retort, Gordon puffed away with his cars in tow. "At least the cars like me," said Thomas. They groan when Gordon takes them out. Soon, Gordon was making his way down the main line toward the junction. He thundered through station after station, his cars clattering behind him. The other engines watched him as he flew by, chortling at the sight. "Gordon must be miserable pulling those cars," Percy said to Edward as Gordon passed by. Edward chuckled. "You're right, Percy. If there's one thing that Gordon hates, it's cars," replied Edward. Gordon, having passed through much of the busy intercity segments of the main line, entered the countryside. All around him were rolling hills, vast plains, and farmhouses. The big blue engine began to smile. Though Gordon would never admit it, he secretly loved pulling cars down the main line. It gave him a chance to stretch his wheels and, when the cars were not too troublesome, allowed him to have solitude from the hustle, bustle, and noise of the express. "Nothing like it. Nothing like it," puffed Gordon. The cars sang with him. They liked Gordon. He was a no-nonsense sort of engine that treated them with respect. Gordon never bumped the cars unless he had reason to, and today they were well behaved. Together, Gordon and the cars sailed smoothly down the main line. It was not long before they arrived. Gordon set down the cars and ran around. He spoke quietly to them. "Remember, not a word to Thomas," whispered Gordon. The cars chuckled. "Right. We can't let him know how much you like pulling us." Thomas pulled into the station shortly. "Finally. I was beginning to think you'd never come," chortled Thomas. "Well, it was these bloody cars holding me back." "I can't abide them," huffed Gordon. He winked at the cars. "It's okay, Gordon. You can go back to your express now. I'll take them from here. You need a washdown, by the way." "You're covered with coal dust," Thomas replied. To complete his act, Gordon gave a snort and chuffed away to the turntable. He, his driver, and fireman all chuckled heartily at their joke. "You really do love those cars, don't you, Gordon?" His driver smiled. "Oh, I see," said Gordon. "They make me feel young again." Gordon trundled back through the open countryside toward the harbor again. The sun was setting in the distance, and in the back of his mind, he secretly hoped he'd be able to pull cars again tomorrow.